You can't talk about the Department of Labor's Toys for Tots program without talking about Lee Peacock. And I'll be glad to tell you how Lee got into this whole thing. But Lee was actually called up for active duty. He was deployed to, as he said, the big sandbox. And unfortunately, he was not going to be able to head our effort. I can't remember the exact year this was, but we stayed in contact with Lee, phones, emails, that sort of thing. And as the week of the Toys for Tots culmination, the drive where the Marines come and pick up the toys, something that Lee had done for us and coordinated for us for years, you know, it just wasn't going to be the same without Lee, naturally. When this cardboard box arrived in my office and it was beaten up and you could tell it had been places, and I opened the box up, and there amongst some wrapping were two large teddy bears, and they'd been sent by Lee, and he apologized that he wanted to make his contribution to the Toys for Tots campaign, but these were the only toys that the PX carried in Iraq. So I was very moved that Lee didn't forget what his duties were, what his responsibilities were, and what the spirit was, and he used every means available to him to make his contribution to the effort, even though he could not be here. So that stands out in my mind a lot, and I think it speaks volumes, not just for Lee, but for the Marine Corps' commitment to this and the partnership that they have with the civilian community. So.
The department first got involved back in 1998. That was about my first year with the department, and just coming on board, being part of the Marine Corps Reserve, you know, for the 22 plus years, that figured, well, why not, you know, just try to see what type of toys we can collect at the office and be able to give back to the local community there in Charlotte. And so the first year was just more or less just the Charlotte office, and then after that, Commissioner Berry came on board, and we asked permission to see, hey, we had this idea of trying to expand it where we could gather more toys and expand the drive to make it a statewide event, not just here, just the Charlotte office. And I'll never forget that I got this phone call up out of the blue, and it was Art Britt. At the time, I had no idea who Art Britt was, and he said, hey, you know, talk to the commissioner, and you know, she's all on board. We'd like to talk about logistics and how we can do this. We quickly put together a plan, and next thing we know, we've got, you know, 6 of our field offices all participating in the Toys for Tots event. And it just, what really transpired over the years was going from just a container and a poster, that we just had so much excitement just from the staff of wanting to get involved and to help out, and just really, you know, kind of grew from there. And
how I got involved with the Toys for Tots. I was 11 years old, and my dad was a Marine Corps reservist, and he came to me and said, Johnny, do you want to help volunteer with the Marine Corps Reserves and stuff stockings? And I said, sure, Dad. So went to the reserve station there in Greensboro, and they handed me it was about a 3-foot red stocking, and you went from station to station, and they would put toys in there and some other things, and then you would go and hand it off to the Marines on the truck. And when I left, I felt good about helping those less fortunate kids out. So the next year, I was 12, my aunt and uncle, we went to visit them. They told us that one of their neighbors, 3 houses down, they had 3 kids, but they didn't have a Christmas tree, and there was no toys under the trees. So my dad said, oh, okay. So we got back in the car to go home, and my dad and mom said, why don't you kids go through your toys, things that you never play with, that are barely used, why don't we wrap those up and give to that family? I said, okay. So then a couple of days later, we went back to visit my aunt and uncle, and they bought a Christmas tree for the family, and we took all the toys and we gave the toys to the kids. And the joy on those kids' faces was priceless for me. At 12 years old, I went, this is something I need to do from now on. So I've always kind of given back, and I always like to help people in general.
Now, I have to say that 20 years later, I never thought that I would be here, under the purview as far as where this program has grown, collecting, in excess of, well over 10,000 toys. This year alone, we might be able to hit, if not break, a 14,000 mark combined. And with that, we've also had well over 8,000, close to $9,000 just in monetary donations. So it's been a very worthwhile program, and just a lot of excitement from just everybody that's getting involved. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of gratitude, and it really means a lot of seeing the generosity from the whole department and all of our partners, being able to get together and share that. Speaking of the partners, again, just through the years, that our whole vision was, hey, let's just put one container into each field office and just see kind of where it goes. And then from that, just with some of the adjoining buildings, such as Old Revenue Building, one of our first partners was Department of Justice with our Attorney General's office. But then right after that, we had Auditor's office come on board, simply because they had seen our people and our passion, of trying to give back to the community, give back to the kids. And well, with the auditors, we met a gentleman called Michael Fetting, and he was a retired staff sergeant out of the Marine Corps. And so we had that brotherhood. He knew about the program, he's seen the posters, and he had actually contacted and reached out to us, hey, how can I get involved? We want to take this to the auditor's office as well. And just through the years, it's grown.
Well, actually, I remember that I came to this office right here for my job interview 13 years ago this month. And when I came in here for my job interview, they were getting ready for their annual open house Toys for Tots drive. So I got this, that was actually my very first experience coming in here to this office, and just seeing how pretty the office was and how excited everyone was, and how I would really like to be a part of that. And fortunately, I had the opportunity to be a part of that. And working in the Commissioner's office, we always play kind of a key role in just setting everything up and helping Lee Peacock with what he needs. And it's just something that I look forward to every year, to get in the spirit of the holidays.
But I do remember one year that when I was still in, before I retired from the Marine Corps, we were in the transportation section, so I was able to get the permission from our battalion commander to drive our trucks up here. And there were 7-ton pickup, or 7-ton trucks and Humvee. So we had a convoy to come all the way from Charlotte, all the way across the state, with Toys for Tots banners on the side, and just going down the interstate, and hearing everybody blow their horns, and basically thumbs up, and seeing just the generosity and the happiness as far as just people riding by us down the interstate, and then pulling up here and being able to load all the toys in the trucks. Every year that
I like the shopping and buying the toys for the kids. I haven't been able to do that in a really long time, since my son is 20 years old, so being able to buy toys is a lot of fun for me.
every year that we're fortunate enough to be able to have the Marines to come out with, with their vehicles and their vans, but most importantly, is their truck, is being able to see of just taking all the toys from not only from the labor building but all throughout the state, and being able to fill up those trucks. And I know through the 20 years we talk about a lot. I know we publish a lot of numbers. Like I said, just through the years, it's been in excess of right at 14,000 toys now. You really can't imagine how many toys that may be. But if you take all those toys and load them in the back of a truck, in the back of like a Marine Corps truck, you're looking at about 24 trucks of toys that we've been able to collectively gather through Department of Labor, all of our partners, and being able to fill those trucks and take those back to our local communities. So that to me is being able to see the completion of each year's drive, being able to see the Marines come out and be able to help load that into the back of the trucks, knowing that those toys are going right back out to the communities it's well worth every hour spent or every ounce of energy that we have put towards this drive is well worth that.
Now, with the Department of Labor, I was in the Marine Corps for 6 years, many years ago, and when I found out that the Toys for Tots was with the Department of Labor, I said, I do want to get involved, so I started out as an elf probably 9 years ago and would help out, staging the toys and then loading the toys on the truck with the Marines. And then about 4 years ago, I became the captain and now for the labor building. So it's a lot of work, but I really enjoy it. It gives me a lot of, it makes me feel good to help those kids.
But my favorite memory of every year is the morning of Toys for Tots, where we have collected everything that all of our partners and all of our regional offices have donated. And our elves here in the labor building line the whole second floor of the labor building with the toys and all the bikes. And it is so pretty and it's heartwarming. And then in the blink of an eye, they're all bagged up and they're all headed out the door to the Marines, and it's amazing what the people in this department and all of our state agency partners have done over the years.
A memorable event, which I want to wipe it from my memory, but I don't know how, is trying to understand why in the world Art Britt would enter into a hula hoop contest. That is just a sight you do not want to see. But I do remember that it's ingrained in my brain housing group is trying to see art hula hoop, and that was, we'll just leave it at that.
Commissioner made her commitment very early on not to sit behind a desk. She was going to go out. She was going to meet the general public. She was going to meet the regulated community. She was going to meet her staff wherever they may be. And of course, half of the department staff is in the field. The first Christmas came around, and I think we had a reception type function. The commissioner was committed to recognizing and acknowledging not just Christmas and everything that it stands for, but she wanted to do something for her employees. And of course, you can't throw a party statewide, but she opened up the labor building, and staff decorated. We had a big Christmas tree. Had the ladies, some of the ladies in the office prepared food. So that's how the first Christmas went, Christmas of 2001. Well, somewhere between then and Christmas 2002, the commissioner in a phone conversation with me said that I've just run into this interesting compliance officer we have in Charlotte, a guy named Lee Peacock. And of course, the name is unique, and as is the man. And so she said, I want you to get with Lee Peacock. And he told me that he has engaged other Marines, as Lee was a member of the Marine Corps Reserve at the time, an active member of the Marine Corps Reserve. And Lee had been engaging Marines and Marine veterans throughout the department, usually on the OSH side, since 1999. And they had been collecting toys in their regional offices. We have Wilmington, we have Raleigh, Winston-Salem, Charlotte. We did not have Asheville until the early part of the last decade, either 2001, 2002, somewhere around in there. Asheville came into being. But Lee already had a small department-wide, or I should say OSH division-wide Toys for Tots campaign going. And when the commissioner found out about it, she was just so excited and so impressed with what Lee had done. And so I connected with this guy, and he was pretty gung-ho Marine, and it impressed me. And he started talking about, yeah, we'll have this culmination of all the toys. We'll bring the toys from Winston-Salem. We'll bring the toys from Charlotte. We'll set them up. I've got Marines, local Marines in Raleigh that can get you some collection bins. We're going to have some Marines there on site to pick up the toys. And I was kind of like, this guy's getting so far ahead of me, I just can't keep up. And sure enough, Christmas of 2002, we expanded Toys for Tots here in Raleigh. We immediately picked up the Office of the State Auditor, of course, our 3 buildings here in Raleigh, and then Lee helped tie all the other offices we have throughout the state into this.
Another memorable moment was about 3 years ago. The Lieutenant Governor's office, they were taking part in the Toys for Tots that year. And so we went over with Durango and a couple of carts to pick up what we thought were just going to be a few toys. And we arrived, and the receptionist said, "Oh, they're back in this room." So we went back in this room, and the whole room was filled up. So Jennifer Haygood had to take the dollies and bring back because they couldn't fit in the Durango. We had so many toys that year that everything couldn't fit in the car, and Jennifer had to bring the dollies back. And there were so many toys, and we were overwhelmed, and I loved it.
Another great memory is just hearing from Lee Peacock the day after the OSH Advisory Council this year that we had gotten an incredibly generous contribution from the chair of our OSH Advisory Council in the amount of, I believe, $2,500, which is astounding to me.
Right.
There was some concern with, hey, if I donate a toy in Wilmington, I don't want, is it going to Raleigh? It's like, no, it stays in your community. Lee made sure that the Wilmington toys went to Wilmington kids, Raleigh toys went to Raleigh kids, Charlotte toys went to Charlotte kids. And, that really helped in the spirit of giving, because people in each of our locations knew that the contributions they were making were going to stay in their communities. Mm-hmm. And it's just grown since then. Lee has nurtured this. As the commissioner says every year when she contacts Lee to ask him if he will be our program coordinator again, she said, "Art works for you." So for a month I work for Lee Peacock, and he takes advantage of that. And it's an honorable service. I'm proud to work for Lee 1 month out of every year. Of course, I make him pay, the other 11 months out of the year. But
well, after seeing it one time, I knew that it was something that I always wanted to be involved with. I do have kind of a special place in my heart for children who are in need. Because no matter what is going on, every child deserves to have a Christmas morning where they have something to open, or they have something to play with, or they have something to get excited about. And I always had wonderful Christmases as a child growing up, and I think back to that, and I just think how every child here should be able to have that same opportunity.
Well, like I said, for the kids, I love being able to help out kids in the community, and you know, when you don't have a lot of kids at home to buy for and be able to provide toys for, it's a lot of fun to be able to do that.
Last year, we had the commissioner doing we got the hula hoop out, and she was using the hula hoop. We still have not got Art to do that, but I do want to see that. I'll get that on video. But it just brings people together, like when we get the toys and we're setting the toys out. But the commissioner doing the hula hoop last year sticks out for me.
I guess one of the things that I remember is on that first Christmas tree that we decorated in 2001. The commissioner's known for her artistic skills in various ways. She paints, she collects some interesting pieces of art. Some would call it flea market art, but it's art to her, and as long as I'm her an employee, it's art to me. But she said, I will take care of the top of the tree. And so I was sitting there going, like, how's this lady, going to decorate this tree? I mean, excuse me, the top of the tree. It's always a very prominent decoration. It's got to be a star, it's got to be an angel, or it's got to be a big red bow or something. And so I don't know how she did it, other than it's just part of her skill set. But in 2001, topping the first tree of Commissioner Berry's, and on this 2018 tree, we will find it once again, is a beautiful angel in a beautiful flowing white dress, and she has a hard hat on, and the commissioner dubbed her our safety angel, and she has sat atop of our tree for what will be now these 18 years, and we will be glad to leave it and pass it on to whoever may come after us. But the safety angel watches over all of our comings and goings during the Toys for Tots program, so it's just a good feeling.
I think setting up the toys at the beginning of the day, putting them out in the hallway so that we can take pictures and video, so that all the employees can come over and see what they've bought and see it all laid out.
We're now well in excess of 10,000 toys that we've collected over the last 20 years. And it may not sound like a lot, but we always equate it with 10,000 smiles. You just can't beat the concept or the idea of giving a kid a smile, and it doesn't matter if we don't get to see it. We know it's happening. So all compliments and glory for the success of this program goes to Lee Peacock. So.
What motivated me? I guess motivation and an addiction. Through the years of the Marine Corps, even before working with the department, I've been associated or doing something with the Toys for Tots, part of our reserve center in Charlotte, ever since I've been in the Marines, and back in 1989 when we first started. And really, it's easy to talk about the number. It's easy to talk about what Toys for Tots is, and how to collect the toys and what we do when we put them back out into those communities. But the thing that really is motivating and has inspired me, as far as the passion to keep doing this, is being in a position that I've been very blessed at, not only from working in different areas and seeing so many different people standing out trying to collect toys on behalf of the Marine Corps, But to me, is more importantly, is being able to see from the receiving end and being able to help distribute those toys to a family that's in need. And I'll never forget that this was probably about 10 years ago that a grandmother had came out to where we were basically distributing the toys out, and she had her son with her, and this grandmother, she was, I have to say, probably in her early 70s, and she pulled me to the side and she was saying that this has been an extremely tough year for her, that she's had to go back to work. A 70-year-old lady having to go back into the workforce, and as we continue the conversation, it was because her son, which had recently been separated and divorced, he also had a young son that they had to move back in with her, and he was in between jobs. They didn't have a lot of money, and when she said the only thing that her 10-year-old grandson wanted was a bicycle, and he'd been wanting that for 2 or 3 years, and this year that we had met, that he had asked her again for a bike, and she told him that and there's no way that I can afford that, just trying to make ends meet, and I basically told her, just stand right here just for a few minutes, and then being able to go get a bike and bring out, and just automatic tears, tears of joy, and she just lost all composure. She just couldn't explain the feelings that she had, except we know that not only was she grateful, but she knew that her grandson would finally have that bicycle that he'd been wanting for 2 or 3 years that she by herself couldn't afford, nevertheless the rest of the family could afford. And being able to see the stories like that is, to me, is the passion. It's being able to give back to the community, and knowing that I feel in some aspect guilty is because I know how blessed I am. I've never had to experience waking up without a toy underneath the tree. And I think all of us, for the most part, we can relate back to that one special toy somewhere in our life or our childhood, that was the toy, and we had all those memories about, whether it's a bike or a stuffed animal or a Barbie doll or G.I. Joe. We can remember things like that, and there's a lot of families that don't have that blessing to be able to do that. So, with that, we want to be able to try to give back to those communities, give back to the families, and in all reality, this might be the one toy that we've collected that some kid is going to get and that they're going to remember for the rest of their lives. But not only is it the toy, but it's also, as they grow out or grow up into becoming adults, it might be something that they also are going to change within something that they can give back as far as to somebody that they know that's in need. So in one aspect, it's kind of a pay it forward type of gesture. And to me, there's just no other rewarding or satisfying feeling, as that.
Well, I just can't believe it's been 20 years, and by far the credit goes to Lee Peacock for all of his efforts, even before Commissioner Berry was even here. He started this, and he has been the person that has worked behind the scenes and in front of the scenes every single year to make sure this happens. He drives from Charlotte to Raleigh every year on the morning of the open house with all of the Charlotte office toys in tow, and usually some Lexington barbecue as well. So I always look forward to that. But more than anyone in this whole department, Lee Peacock really deserves thanks and appreciation.
No, and again, just a sincere appreciation to the Commissioner of Labor. Again, when we first rolled this program out, as far as I gave a pitch, a sales pitch, if you will, there was no hesitation, and she was all into it. And again, it wasn't about the publicity, it wasn't about the toys, it wasn't about bringing everybody together from the standpoint of show and tell, but it was knowing that there's going to be so many happy families and so many happy kids on Christmas morning, and and I can't thank her enough, allowing the whole department of being able to join up with the Marine Corps to be able to help support the Toys for Tots program.
if you're watching this and you haven't donated something, it's not too late. And if you can't do it this year, do it next year. I can't tell you how good it makes me feel. Of course, I don't have any kids or anything, so I'm assuming some kids out there smiling at whatever stupid toy I choose to throw under the tree. And it's not too late. And if you can't do it this year, sign on and do it next year. And if Lee Peacock ever asks you to do something, you better do it, because he's one motivated Marine. So that's it.